bill once it's passed.
I'll put it on the floor.
Some proposals include expanded background checks for all gun buyers and so-called red flag laws targeting dangerous individuals. Bob Agnew reporting.
A federal judge overseeing litigation related to the nation's opioids epidemic has ruled that claims against Purdue Pharma and other drug companies can move to trial as the OxyContin maker tries to reach a settlement. The first federal trial is scheduled for October 21st over claims from 2 Ohio counties. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is trying to crack down on members of his Conservative Party who oppose his Brexit plans. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Boris Johnson has warned any Tory rebels that they would be expelled from the party if they support the parliamentary efforts to block or delay Brexit. One leading critic, former Treasury Chief Philip Hammond, says colleagues have been so incensed by some of Johnson's actions over the past week or so that they now think it is time to put the national interest ahead of any threats personally to their careers. A no-deal Brexit is considered dangerous because it will sever decades of seamless trade with the single market of 500 million people. Charles de Ledesma, London.
Pope Francis heading this week to the southern African nations of Mozambique, Madagascar, and Mauritius, visiting some of the world's poorest countries. This will be Francis' second pilgrimage to sub-Saharan Africa. More at townhall.com.
The following is an America Matters Media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
America spends 5 to 10 times more on health care than any other country in the world. Then why does America rank number 43 worldwide for longevity? Third world countries, such as Cuba and Costa Rica, rank higher than the U.S. So what's wrong with health care in America? This is what's wrong. Our $3 trillion healthcare industry is focused on disease management, while 70% of our planet relies on traditional indigenous medicine that is focused on health optimization. Learn how. Join Dr. Dan Royal on the show The Royal Treatment, bringing you the latest information on the best of medicine, biotechnology, and pharmacology, as well as secrets from the past. These secrets have withstood the test of time and are being rediscovered today. In fact, indigenous healthcare practitioners are using them for the benefit of their patients who seek optimal health and wellness. Now, here is Dr. Dan Royal.
Greetings, listeners. I am Dr. Dan Royal, and you are now listening to The Royal Treatment. We're here every week to answer your health questions. And we answer questions because, well, frankly, we care. We are here to answer your questions because your doctor cannot. What do I mean by that? Well, your doctor cannot answer questions about your health because your doctor is in the business of sick care and disease management. We're in the business of health optimization for people who want to be as healthy as they possibly can. I had a patient in my office just this morning, a cancer patient who had a surgery for removal of a rare type of carcinoma in her ureter that involved the removal of a kidney, and now she is working to be as healthy as she can naturally through supplements, through diet. And it's an educational process, a journey of sorts. She's not going through the follow-up chemotherapy and radiation. Why? Well, interesting, because when your doctor recommends this, in a case like hers, it's not for treatment of the cancer. The cancer is gone. It's for prevention. Medicine's type of prevention is using destructive agents such as radiation and chemotherapy, which a doctor would never do to himself or his family, but has no problem doing it to a patient. Why? Well, you know the answer. Because insurance pays for it. We mentioned on a previous program about a patient, 33-year-old woman, who was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had both breasts removed. That's a double mastectomy, followed with radiation and chemotherapy. Well, guess what? 2 years later, the cancer came back. She had surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, and they did not succeed, which is not uncommon. But what did the doctors tell her? You probably know the answer, and if you don't, you can probably guess. there's nothing we can do for you. Reading between the lines, what does this mean? It simply means your insurance will no longer pay for another round of radiation and chemotherapy. So good luck and God bless. It's patients like that that discover how useless medicine can be for curing them of just about anything. Medicine's great for managing because it's a business, and you have to keep that in mind. If you want to be healthy, we're here to help you along that path, because you have to take matters into your own hands. It's up to you, my friends. You're going to have to get educated, because your doctors are not. They're educated in disease and disease management. It's quite simple. Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the Turtle Healing Band Clinic. That's where I practice here in Las Vegas. If you'd like to reach us, the number is 702-562-1454. That's if you have a question you would like to call in, or you would like to get more information or make an appointment. 702-562-1454. You can also email me at droyal@royalmedicalclinic.com. That's D as in Daniel, Royal, R-O-Y-A-L, like it sounds, Royal Blue, at royalmedicalclinic, all one word, .com. Feel free to send me your questions. I always respond as best I can with the limited information that you provide. In fact, I received an email from a potential patient today. He was asking about stem cells. He'd been referred to us by another group, probably out of state. He was inquiring about umbilical cord blood stem cells. Yes, we do use those for our patients, but in his case, he has COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, a lung condition. And one of the things we did about 10 years ago was we started doing a type of treatment for our COPD patients using stem cells, but they were not umbilical cord blood stem cells. They were autologous stem cells. That means stem cells from your own body. And we found that they, well, first of all, were very safe, well tolerated, never had any side effects using autologous blood cells in over the 10 years that we've been using here in our clinic. But we also found that the patients had a better quality of life and lived longer than their others, friends and cohorts who were suffering from the same disease. We can obtain those stem cells from your blood. Did you know that? You probably know we can obtain stem cells from fat. We can obtain stem cells from bone marrow, but those are not true stem cells, and they will not help a lung condition. That's because those stem cells are called mesenchymal cells, and they're intended for orthopedic and cardiovascular or heart conditions. You need pluripotent stem cells that can differentiate into all cell types. We can get that from your blood. It's a little more labor intensive, but potentially more effective. I say labor intensive because you have to take a product to help increase your circulating stem cells and then come into the clinic where we can draw your blood, allow them to naturally separate and harvest your naturally occurring autologous pluripotent stem cells. The product you take is a blue-green algae. We have a combination that is special made for us, a proprietary blend that works also quite well. The same blend is used around the world in treating thoroughbred race horses. It helps them to recover quicker. It helps them to be more docile, and helps them to repair injuries that otherwise might not repair. So it works in animals and humans, and studies have been done using this product around the world, but particularly in China, which we've talked about from time to time on this program. I'm Dr. Dan Royal. You're listening to The Royal Treatment. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about obituaries, locally and internationally, people who died too young from diseases they shouldn't have had. Stay right with us.
Low-dose chemotherapy uses only 10 to 20% of full-dose chemo, and it's known as IPT, or insulin-potentiated therapy. It's one of the safest and most innovative approaches to treating cancer effectively. IPT virtually eliminates side effects of full-dose chemo, such as nausea, hair loss, and fatigue. Could IPT be the answer you've been searching for? To find out, call Dr. Dan Royal at 702-562-1454. 1454. IPT uses low-dose chemo with insulin. Cancer cells have up to 20 times more insulin receptors and use up to 20 times more sugar than normal cells. That's why cancer cells thrive while normal cells struggle to survive. One study showed that using low-dose chemo with insulin resulted in a 10,000% increase in cancer-killing ability. Could IPT with low-dose chemo and insulin help you? Call Dr. Royal at 702-562-1454 to see if you qualify for IPT. That's 702-562-1454.
Ready for a live game of Clue? For nearly 30 years, Funtime Theaters held private and monthly dinner murder mysteries. Each night is different, and each event includes dinner and a show. You're the detective, and your job is to figure out who did what to who and why. At the end of the night, a super sleuth and not so super sleuth are awarded prizes. This is a great event for a birthday or holiday party and team building events for your office. Visit funtimetheater.com to make your reservations and use promo code RADIO for $5 off each admission.
Wainema Ranch Wild Horse Sanctuary, a preserve dedicated to keeping America's wild mustangs and burros running free. Wainema Ranch, 29 miles north of Reno near Hallelujah Junction. An amazing site to visit. Over 130 of God's majestic animals at home on the range. Experience the beauty and wonder. Give at WainemaRanch.com. That's WYNEMA Ranch.com or call 775-384-4444. Wainema Ranch.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
This is America Matters Media
on AM 1180 KCKQ,
a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
We are back to the show, and I'm Dr. Dan Royal. You again are listening to the Royal Treatment. We're here every week to answer your health questions. And before the break, we thank one of our sponsors, the Turtle Healing Band Clinic, where I practice at 702-562-1454. 702-562-1454 is also where you can reach the First Nation Medical Board. First Nation Medical Board, as well as the Turtle Healing Band Clinic, are both sponsored by the Crow Nation. This is for the protection, preservation, and promotion of traditional medicine, which we also have defined as indigenous medicine, and includes all things alternative, holistic, complementary, and so forth. No one has exercised jurisdiction over this except for the Crow Nation, which they have the right and authority to do under the United States Federal Code, and they are now leading the way to help those of us who seek to practice and those of us who seek to be treated by indigenous medicine. There's only 2 states in this country where there is some sort of protection for this type of medicine. In Nevada and Arizona, they have a homeopathic and a complementary medical board, but in 48 states, there's nothing. Doctors like myself who simply want to help their patients be well, or I should say healthy, they do so at the risk of losing their license. It could come from doing something as simple as prescribing vitamin C IV for the treatment of the flu. Of course, medicine has no real treatment for the flu. It has no treatment for viruses of any significance that have no side effects. This can be done naturally through homeopathic preparations and or through nutraceuticals. But to do something like this, instead of perhaps vaccinating, could cause a doctor to lose his license. This is the importance of such physicians being dual licensed by the First Nation Medical Board, where they can have protection for the use of traditional medical treatments and products in their medical practices. This is a problem, and hopefully we can save alternative medicine in this country through the Indian Nation and their support. Well, one of the things we do each week on our program is we review the obituaries. Why do we do that during this segment of our show? Well, it's quite simple. It's news, and it's happening right now. Well, I should say within the last week. We will review obituaries of people who died too young from disease they shouldn't have locally and internationally. It's always very interesting. There's something to be learned, so listen closely. We review them because life expectancy in the United States is declining. You're not hearing this on the standard media outlets because nobody cares. Nobody's really looking at these data. It's being reported, and it's there for anybody to find if they care. No one likes to talk about death, but life expectancy in the United States is declining and has been for the last 3 years, soon to be 4 years, setting a new record. That's right, a new record for the history of the United States. It's never happened before. Now, it did happen for 3 years in a row, 1916, 17, 18. It has now happened in 2015, 16, 17, soon to be 2018. And what is that life expectancy? Well, for women, it's about 81 years of age. For men, about 76, with an average of about 78.5 life expectancy in the United States. Keep that in mind as we go through these obituaries now. Starting locally, these are people who died here in Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada. Just this last week, too young from diseases they shouldn't have had. We have a 49-year-old man who worked in woodworking who passed away. Another 49-year-old man who worked for Associated Food Stores passed away peacefully at home. 53-year-old man who worked at the city of Henderson passed away. 54-year-old man who worked in law enforcement passed away. 55-year-old woman passed away from cancer that she battled for quite a long time, quote unquote. 57-year-old woman who worked as a nurse passed away. 58-year-old woman who worked as a food server passed away. 65-year-old man passed away in Sunrise Hospital. 65-year-old man who served in the United States Air Force passed away. Another 65-year-old man, a general manager for mortgage companies, passed away after a long illness. Probably cancer, but they're not always detailed in these obituaries. I'm not sure why, because it's really for posterity. If somebody wants to find you, the more information you can provide, the better for them. 68-year-old man who worked as a journalist passed away. 69-year-old woman passed away from health complications. A 70-year-old man, an architect who served in the United States Army, passed away peacefully. A 71-year-old man who worked in the family plumbing business passed away from cancer. 73-year-old man who served in the United States Air Force, worked for County Road Department, passed away from ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, neurological disorder. 76-year-old woman who worked as an educator in the elementary education industry passed away. And those are the local people. Now, let's look at the international celebrity notables who passed away last week, too young from diseases they shouldn't have had. This is where it gets to be a little more interesting and instructive. Colin Clark, American professional soccer player for the national team, died at 35 years of age from a heart attack. 35. Sean Stevenson, an American motivational speaker and author, died at 40 years of age from a head injury. I should mention that he was born with osteogenesis imperfecta and had many fractures throughout his life, but this last skull fracture was the final fracture that ended his life. Neil Casal, American musician, died at 50 years of age from suicide by hanging. I always find it interesting when people die by suicide because, well, they don't mention the medications they were taking, but we've talked about in the show before. In fact, we talked about it last week, how serotonin is not a happy hormone, and taking antidepressants all increase your risk of committing suicide, as well as being more aggressive and committing homicide. Jeff Blackshear, American professional National League football player, died at 50 years of age from pancreatic cancer. He was only 50. Tahu Potiki, New Zealand chief executive for the Maori tribe, died at 53 years of age from liver disease. I should mention he previously had a liver transplant in 2017. But whatever process he had going on in his body continued despite the transplant, and he died from liver disease anyway. Ian Kerr, Canadian academic lawyer, died at 54 years of age from cancer. Alexander Chislov, Russian actor, died at 55 years of age from cancer. Selahattin Özdemir, Turkish musician, died at 56 years of age after being in intensive care for 3 days following a heart attack. Mieczysław Tracz, Polish Olympic wrestler in 1988, died at 56 years of age after a long illness. Stephen Goss, American judge, member of the Georgia Court of Appeals, died at 57 years of age from gunshot suicide. Mamadou Tou, soccer player for the Senegalese national team, died at 59 years of age. He suffered a severe form of arthritis, although I don't know if that would cause his death. Randy Romero, American Hall of Fame jockey, died at 61 years of age from stomach cancer. Guy Inez Kerr, the 10th Duke of Roxburgh, a British aristocrat, which probably means he was wealthy, died at 64 years of age from a lengthy battle with esophageal cancer. By the way, if they don't have anything for the important people, they certainly don't have anything for the little people. Dennis Fenty, Canadian politician, Premier of Yukon, died at 68 years of age from a battle with cancer. Gordon Bresic, American television writer, died at 68 years of age after a long struggle with his health. Giuseppe Lamonte, Italian mobster, died at 70 years of age from a fall off his bicycle after hitting his head on the asphalt. And by the way, the Italian government would not allow for a funeral to be held in his behalf. Jim Langer, American Hall of Fame National Football League player, died at 71 years of age from heart failure. Jacob Decker, Dutch businessman, writer and philanthropist, died at 71 years of age after his long battle with cancer. Sogyal Rinpoche, Tibetan Lama and writer, died at 72 years of age from a pulmonary embolism. Those often occur following a surgery, which I don't know if he had. Valery Sirov, Russian-born Ukrainian soccer player and manager, died at 72 years of age. A serious illness caused his heart to stop. Adis Harmandian, Lebanese Armenian pop singer, died at 74 years of age after a courageous battle with cancer. Always a courageous battle. Richard Geist, American politician, member of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, died at 74 years of age from a heart attack. Lyudmila Tanasenko, Russian animator, died at 74 years of age after being ill for a long time and suddenly getting worse. Pamela Dowsett, an Australian violinist and music teacher, died at 74 years of age from cancer. Abel Gonzalez Chavez, Colombian radio and television host, died at 76 years of age from a stroke. Donnie Fritz, an American keyboardist and songwriter, died at 76 years of age from complications due to heart surgery. That's iatrogenic disease, meaning he died from something the doctors did. Ken Bao, Jamaican physician politician, died at 78 years of age after suffering ailing health for some time. He previously had brain surgery in 2015. Franco Columbu, Italian bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia winner in 1976 and 81, and actor, died at 78 years of age from a heart attack. Valerie Harper, American actress, Emmy Award winner in 72, 73, and 75, died at 80 years of age from leptomeningeal carcinoma, which means that cancer had spread to her brain. Well, we're going to continue our discussion. We've got just a few more. These are really more honorable mentions to talk about when we come back. Break up, Dr. Dan Royal. You're listening to the Royal Treatment. Stay right with us.
Can your own stem cells heal you? The miracle of life begins when an egg and a sperm unite. They form a single stem cell. Stem cells will keep dividing until directed by the body to become something else. Natural occurring stem cells can be found in all tissues of your body. Can your own stem cells help your body heal and repair itself? Find out more by calling Dr. Dan Royal at 702-562-1454. Dr. Royal has developed a unique patent-pending process for obtaining stem cells from your own blood. Stem cells can be concentrated, prepared, and delivered to areas where you need them most to repair old, damaged, and dying cells. Can your own stem cells help your body heal and repair itself? Are you a cancer patient in remission who needs rejuvenation for optimal health and wellness? Find out more by calling Dr. Dan Royal at 702-562-1454. Don't wait, call today. That number again is 702-562-1454.
Virginia City is the source of all the richness in the West. While today it brings us a summer of fun with camel races, cook-offs, street vibrations, outhouse races, parades, and many more events, it's never dull on the Comstock. A taste of all this richness can be found at Virginia City Kettle Corn Depot. Our kettle corn is made fresh every day with no additives, just coconut oil, sea salt, and some pure cane sugar. We also offer fresh caramel corn and white cheddar, to which we can add jalapeno. This summer we are adding freshly made cotton candy, and for hot summer days, Hawaiian shave ice, which on special occasions will offer some adult flavors like margarita, daiquiri, and pina colada. You can find Kettle Corn Depot at the south end of C Street, across from the Sheriff's Office. Our long-standing customers have faithfully been returning to Kettle Corn Depot since 2012. Come get your groove on in Virginia City.
Are you caring for an older person or a loved one who needs assistance? Paragon Home Resources can help you maintain their independent living for as long as possible anywhere in the United States. We offer property management services to deal with all facets of maintaining the current home. We can also assist with obtaining a reverse mortgage to free up home equity to pay for home care and other needs. And should your loved one require assisted living or a move-in with a family member, we can handle the details of selling the home for the best possible price. Paragon Home Resources can assist with helping you sort belongings to determine which will be kept and those that require an estate sale or donation to charity. Your Paragon Home Resources coordinator will be accessible through a convenient toll-free number. As part of our service, you'll get a needs assessment to determine the services that are necessary. Caring for a loved one doesn't have to be stressful. Call Paragon Home Resources to learn more, 1-855-474-7227, or visit us at ParagonHomeResources.com.
You're invited to join Business Connections with Anita every Wednesday from 10 to 11 a.m. here on 1180 a.m. KCKQ America Matters.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
We're back to the show, and I'm glad you're back. I'm Dr. Dan Royal. You're listening to The Royal Treatment. We're now in the third quarter of our four-quarter show, and before the break, we were talking about obituaries. People who died too young just this last week from diseases they shouldn't have had. We're going to make a few more honorable mentions available to you, and then we're going to talk about some current events. During the fourth quarter of the show, I want to talk again about electromagnetic pollution. Just had a patient in my office this morning, and we were going over about how we can deal with that so that our body can heal as opposed to being hurt by electromagnetic pollution. And with 5G on the rise, you need to know about it. Well, continuing on with obituaries, these are really the honorable mentions. These are some people, our international notable celebrities that made it to their early 80s. Valmir Vala, Brazilian Roman Catholic bishop, died at 81 years of age from cancer. Soju Nosaka, Japanese musician, died at 81 years of age from acute myeloid leukemia, which is a type of cancer of the bone marrow. Agnar Sandmo, Norwegian economist and considered one of the world's best economists, died at 81 years of age from cancer. And finally, Biba Caggiano, Italian-born American restaurateur, cookbook, and author, died at 82 years of age from Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Combination of those two. Remember, we've said that dementia, of which Alzheimer's is one, but the most common, is the number one cause of death now in the United Kingdom. But you can see as people are getting older, they're not dying from natural causes. They're dying from heart attacks, cancers, various types of cancers, dementia, and so forth. No reason why you can't live a long, healthy quality of life and be productive until the day you die or God decides your time on this earth has come to an end and you're no longer needed. Last week on the show, we talked a little bit about fluoridation. And this was at the end of the show, and I just wanted to recap that a little bit. There were some studies done showing that fluoridation of the water had led to a reduction in IQ, your intelligence quotient for your children. You know, when you go to the dentist and he cleans your teeth, he never tells you to swish and swallow. He tells you to swish and spit. They never tell you to swallow fluoride. It's only needed in trace amounts. We don't need to be taking fluoride supplements either. Studies have shown that the radiographs of your bone, while they seem to show the bone is stronger, is actually a fallacy. It is reducing tensile strength in your bones and making them more brittle. That is not what we want with our bones. Never get tricked into taking too much of anything, except if it's needed in the short term, for example, increasing vitamin C when you have the common cold. Anyway, the studies that we reported last week were somewhat in conflict as to whether the IQ was lower in the boys and not in the girls, whereas another study showed it was both. But we're going to look at the summary here. This was a study done in women recruited from 6 Canadian studies as part of this investigation. And the women were looked at their consumption of fluoride during the first 14 weeks of their pregnancy. Now, that's the first trimester, which is the most critical. That's when your child is undergoing its development of all of its body systems, heart, brain, and so forth. That's when the fluoride was measured. And they, of course, give the statistics about how much they found based upon their urine excretion and so forth. But the bottom line was they found that each overall 1 milligram increase in estimated fluoride consumption by the mothers during their pregnancy was associated with a reduction of 3.7 points on IQ scores among both boys and girls. In other words, there was no significant sex difference found in the children that were exposed to fluoride in utero by their mothers who were drinking fluoridated water. So that was the bottom line. It has a lot of problems, but it makes the aluminum industry very happy. Why? Well, fluoride was previously a hazardous waste that they were having to pay to dispose of. Someone came up with the bright idea, why not put it in the water? Because the dentists use fluoride to help prevent cavities, but they use it locally. Again, no one is swishing and swallowing, they're swishing and spitting. But governments were convinced that this was the right thing to do for the people. They were most likely convinced because they were paid to convince. Because science is not supportive that this is doing what they claim it would do once it was put into our water. We could put a lot of other things into our water. We've talked about on this show how we have a worldwide magnesium deficiency, probably the reason why heart disease is the number one cause of death here in this country and in most places around the world, although cancer is probably on the increase here and everywhere else. Anyway, the bottom line is there are a lot of things we could do to be more health-oriented and to cause a lot less damage than putting fluoride into the water. Well, something else that recently came up, a study was published showing that women who are taking hormone therapy have an increased risk of breast cancer, I should say morbidity and mortality. Morbidity means incidence of, mortality, of course, means death. The study was looking at all types of menopausal hormone therapies. So women who have gone through the change of life, which can occur anywhere between 45 to 55 years of age. They found that all types of these hormones, with the exception of vaginal estrogens, were associated with a significant excess incidence of breast cancer. Now, please be advised that what they are looking at are prescription drugs called hormones, but these so-called hormones are drugs, and all drugs have side effects. And these prescription hormone drugs cause cancers. Read the PDR and you'll see what I mean. They will give you an aromatase inhibitor, a prescription drug for that. Once you have had treatment for breast cancer, of course, we want to prevent it from coming back, so we're going to give you this hormone blocking medication, aromatase inhibitor. And what is the side effect of that drug? It's going to prevent breast cancer, but it's going to cause uterine cancer. That is just one example. They found that the risks were greater for estrogen progesterone than for estrogen only preparations. Why would that be? Well, what you don't know about a hormone drug, progesterone, is it is not progesterone, it is progestin. It acts more like estrogen than progesterone. Natural progesterone blocks the effects or counteracts the negative effects of estrogen. But when you use the prescription drug hormone in combination with estrogen, it's as if you're doubling up on your estrogen. The so-called study looked at a 20-year incidence of breast cancer. They recruited between 1 to 3 million women during the years, let's see, 1996, 2001, and they completed a study fairly recently in January of 2018. Now, most of this was done in the United Kingdom. They found that the women who were taking these menopausal hormone treatments had much less risk if they were using for 5 years or less. And over 5 years was when they began to have their significant excess of mortality from breast cancer that increased over the next 20 years. When you read studies like this, you have to read between the lines, because one of the things they did not mention in this study was what were these so-called hormones that they were taking. I can guarantee you they were prescription hormones or drugs with side effects that cause cancer. Taking natural hormones, the hormones that occur naturally in your body, are not going to kill you or not going to cause cancer, or every woman on this planet would have breast cancer and every man on this planet would have prostate cancer. That simply is not the case. There's a vaccine that was given, this one you may not know about, the vaccine that was given to women in the ages 25 to 29 to prevent human papilloma virus. The study published showing that the women who received this vaccine, these are women who were in the United States, that those who got the vaccine had a reduced risk of, I shouldn't say risk, a reduced possibility of getting pregnant. For married women, 75% who did not receive the shot were found to conceive, while only 50% who received the vaccine had ever been pregnant. Perhaps that was the goal all along, that those who received this so-called preventive or sexually transmitted disease, human papilloma virus, had a reduced incidence of fertility by 50%. I'm Dr. Dan Royal, listening to The Royal Treatment. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about more current events. Stay right with us.
Targeting cancer cells with DMSO reduces the need for full-dose chemotherapy by up to 90% because DMSO targets cancer cells, not healthy cells. Research demonstrates that DMSO, also known as dimethyl sulfoxide, has an affinity for cancer cells, which also allows DMSO to enter them even when DMSO is carrying chemo drugs. Could low-dose chemo with DMSO be the answer you've been searching for? Find out more by calling Dr. Dan Royal at 702-562-1454. When low-dose chemo is combined with DMSO or insulin, it's called potentiation therapy. This is because the cancer-killing power they create together is much greater than when they're administered separately. Are you a cancer patient who wants more than disease management? Could low-dose chemo help you achieve optimal health and wellness? Call Dr. Dan Royal at 702-562-1454 to see if you qualify for low-dose chemo. That's 702-562-1454.
Join the Funtime Theater this fall as we make the history of the Comstock come alive with Voices from the Past, a walking tour of the Silver Terrace Cemetery in Virginia City. Each year, 12 actors portray past residents of the Comstock, sharing their life and death in the Old West. Shows are Saturday and Sundays, September 28th through October 13th at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. daily. Visit funtimetheater.com to make your reservations and use promo code RADIO for $5 off each adult admission. That's funtimetheater.com. Promo code RADIO.
Looking for family entertainment? How about remote-controlled car racing on Nevada's largest indoor dirt track? Whippet RC Raceway and Hobbies. No equipment or racing skill is necessary. Rental cars are available and the staff will instruct you. All ages are welcome with classes for beginners, weekly races, and a monthly competition with a $100 cash prize. Want to buy your own 1/10 scale RC car or need parts on repairs? Whippet has a full hobby shop featuring recognized brands like Lowesley, Associated, Traxxas, Axial, and more, and now carries drones and drone parts. Whippet is the perfect venue for birthday parties or company and other special events. That's Whippet RC Raceway and Hobbies, located at 1005 Standard Street off Panther Drive exit in North Reno. Give them a call today at 775-686-8415. On Facebook and Instagram, search for Whippet RC, offering family fun for everyone 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more. Midtown matters. Get down to Midtown.
Beefy's, the best little diner in the biggest little city. Cheeseburgers extraordinaire, chili cheese omelets, and the best milkshakes in Midtown and Reno. Beefy's. Try the full Beefy's menu and beer on tap. Beefy's, South Virginia at Arroyo.
Midtown Reno. Experience the difference. Get down to Midtown. Midtown matters.
Hi everybody, this is Sharon Oran with Coffee with Sharon. Remember, Thursday, 5 p.m., I'll be here. Will you?
Brought to you in part by Michael's Reno Power Sports.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
We are back to the show, and I'm Dr. Dan Royal. Before the break, we were just reviewing a recent publication that was reporting on the side effect of the vaccination for HPV, human papilloma virus. It reduced fertility in women who took it by 50%. So for some women, perhaps they don't need contraceptives. You just get the vaccination. The study said that if 100% of the women in the study had received the vaccine, data suggests that the number of women having ever conceived in this country, the United States, would have fallen by 2 million. That's one way to decrease the population of the United States. Stop having babies. Anyway, let's move on. We want to talk a little bit about electromagnetic pollution. I think it's a timely subject because it's something we talked about before but needs to be revisited. It's because a patient of mine with whom I had this discussion this morning is looking for ways to optimize her health and well-being. She had a rare cancer removed, and is striving to care for herself through natural means, through the use of diet, through the use of plasma field that we use in our office in combination with the pulsing electromagnetic field. That's light, sound, and frequency. Purpose is to increase the millivolt concentration of her cells so that her body can deal with cancer directly and put it into reverse, because the cancer cells are a very low millivolt concentration. Let's say they're around 20. That needs to get up to around 70. In fact, there was a study recently that discovered cancer energy is so low, it's having to find ways to steal from other cells in order to support itself. Rather than figuring out that or theorizing we need to reverse that cellular concentration of energy and get it higher, the study went on to say we need to find a drug to block cancer from being able to steal energy from other cells. Anyway, when you go to sleep at night, there's something that should happen that's not happening. Do you know what that is? When you go to sleep at night, your body should be regenerating. How does this happen? Well, when your brain at night is exposed to the Earth's magnetic field and is able to function without distractions, it's able to resonate with your body organs and promote repair and regeneration. The problem is the Earth's magnetic field has decreased significantly. The theory is that about 4,000 years ago it was 5 Gauss. 5 Gauss. Currently at 0.5 Gauss, that's a decrease of 90%, or in other words, 10% of where we used to be. So, we can fix this. We can increase the magnetic field to which you're exposed when you're sleeping. This can be done with a sleeping magnetic pad that is placed under the mattress. Now, there are various strengths. You can get one that is 5 Gauss, which we do not use for our patients, but it is available. The one we use is 10 Gauss, and if you have cancer, probably need 20 Gauss, because the more energy, the better. The results can be accelerated, believe it or not, with exposure to a higher Gauss field. This is becoming important because as 5G is being erected everywhere, we know through studies, through experience, through exposures, that 5G has side effects. And they're not good. These are not side effects that are going to help you think more clearly and feel more energetically, just the opposite. So there are things you need to know in order to be able to protect yourself. Using a magnetic sleep pad is one means of doing that, where you are receiving a healthy magnetic field exposure during that period of time when you are sleeping, which is better than no exposure at all during that 24 hours. There are other things that can be done. You can get a diode that can be put on your phone to help protect you from that electromagnetic frequency when it's being transmitted to your ears. These diodes are actually fairly simple. You can make them yourself. You can take a copper wire, you roll the wire in a spiral fashion, put it inside a bottle cap, put that in your pocket. It also protects your body in this case. But you can be a little more proactive by using a magnetic sleep pad, because these 5G towers need to be fairly close in order to function properly, and they need to be able to do so without interference of trees and buildings that can interfere with their wavelengths, which is a little different than other magnetic fields that can go through all of these obstructions. But here are some studies which we've talked about in the past that have been conducted using magnetism. Now, these studies, please keep in mind, were used at a lower Gauss than what we recommend for our patients. These were all used at 5 Gauss, which is still 10 times where the Earth's magnetic field is today. This was a study conducted by the University of Virginia, which treated fibromyalgia patients using the pads for their effectiveness in reducing pain and improving function. Now, in this case, it was a random placebo-controlled study, and it was done for 6 months. Only the magnetic field, a unipolar pad, that means that the patient was exposed to a South Pole magnet, showed a significant reduction in pain and increase in function when compared to placebo pads, which I suppose had no polarized activity whatsoever. But they also looked at bipolar pads, meaning that they were mixed. And you may remember the magnetic pads produced by the Japanese company Nikon, where they flip the magnets. When you do this, they have no effect. You have to be exposed to a unipolar pad to get the benefits. One which can be stimulating, one which can be calming. In other words, you have a south and you have a north pole. We typically prefer to use the South Pole. North Pole could perhaps be used in more acute situations, but for chronic conditions, South Pole. And when you buy the sleep magnetic pad, it tells you which side is up and which side is down. Here's another study that was conducted in mice. It was looking at the effect of a reduced magnetic field on these animals. And so it created a magnetic field similar to the Earth's. It reduced the magnetic field to 1/10 its present value, put the 6-month-old mice in the cage, and found they went into slow motion. One mouse even died in 7 days, and within 2 months the others compensated for the lack of energy by eating twice as much food and becoming obese. But this left them slowed down by about 60%. So what's one of the side effects of a low magnetic field? You can see it in the mice. Not only do you have reduced energy, but you try to compensate by overeating and becoming obese. Here's another study that was looking for longevity in enhanced magnetic fields. Now, they tested 23 different species of insects and found that they could increase the lifespan of these insects 5 times on the average in comparison to the control or placebo group. In this particular experiment, the researcher was able to increase the lifespan on human tissue cells by 2.5 times. That means that if your life expectancy is 80, you could be living to be, well, 300, I suppose. Something to think about. Here's another study also done in fibromyalgia patients using the unipolar pad, which we now know to be more effective than a bipolar pad. And they found that the patients showed an average of 2.4 times the improvement in their condition, where their pain was reduced, they slept better, had less fatigue, and increased ability to do more hours of work. Imagine that. Their cells are recharged, and they were more productive. And finally, here's another study, a small pilot study that looked at 6 debilitated chronic fatigue patients. At the end of 6 months, all patients who were using the unipolar or South Pole pad showed improvement in 3 out of 5 dysfunctions, which is 60% improvement, which is far better than placebo. One patient improved in all 5 categories, 100%. These categories include sleep, sense of well-being, hours of work, fatigue after exercise, and cognitive ability. In fact, 3 out of the 6 patients were able to return to work full time. Well, if you're interested in learning more about that, you can call us at 702-562-1454. That's 702-562-1454. Next week, we'll go into more detail about some of the actual side effects that have been reported regarding 5G. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can always email me, Dr. Dan Royal, at droyal@royalmedicalclinic.com. D as in Daniel Royal, R-O-Y-A-L, at royalmedicalclinic.com. It's an interesting world that we live in, and if you want to be healthy, you need to get informed. And we're here to help you. We're here to educate you and to answer your health questions, because we want you to be happy and have a long, healthy, productive life. I'm Dr. Dan Royal. You've been listening to The Royal Treatment. We'll be back again next week for another episode of The Royal Treatment. Until then, my friends, you all be well.
as an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media Radio, heard worldwide on the web at americamatters.us and on KCKQ 1180 AM, Reno.